Hey there, and welcome back to By His Grace Marriage Ministry Podcast. My name is Amanda, and today's episode is the 5th episode of the series, The Fruits of the Spirit Within Your Marriage series. And I am going to be talking about kindness and goodness together in this episode. So I know they're two separate fruits, but I'm going to go ahead and put them together because they're very similar to one another. And I have taken some time to pray and just kind of figure out what I wanted to share within this episode. And I thought, let me put them together because they are very similar to one another. So this will be the 5th episode in the series. And I think I did a previous episode where I put 2 together as well. So even though there are 9 fruits of the Spirit, there may not be 9 episodes in this series. And this probably won't be a long episode. I couldn't come up with a whole lot just because kindness and goodness kind of really goes without saying when it comes to marriage. And every couple is different. So what I will be sharing today may not work for every couple. And the thing is, as you spend more and more time with your spouse, you will get to know your spouse and you will know what things to do for them and what they would appreciate and enjoy. Because again, everybody is different. Every spouse is different. Every spouse gives and receives love differently. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of, the book, The 5 Love Languages, I think by Gary Chapman. If you haven't read that yet, go ahead and give it a read, even whether you're single or already in your marriage. That may help as well, just to kind of get an idea of how your spouse may give and receive love. So I've only read it once, and I agreed with most of it, but I think the important thing is just as you spend more time with your spouse, you get to know them, and you get to know their likes, their dislikes, and what they really appreciate and what they could really take from, and just things like that. So I'm just going to list some things that I came up with and that I also found online as well. And some things are very simple. These are really just acts of kindness. So you've heard of random acts of kindness just in everyday life. So this is random acts of kindness and goodness within your marriage. So some of these things sound like as if you were going on a date or something like that, or planning, but all of that is very important in your marriage. So, and when you have acts of kindness and goodness in your marriage, it makes for a stronger marriage. And believe it or not, no matter what season of marriage that you're in, no matter how long you've been married or how little you've been married, you fall more in love with one another when you do these things. So again, some of the things I suggest may not work for you and your spouse, or you may think it's silly, or that neither one of you would like it or your spouse wouldn't like it, and that's fine. This is just to give you some ideas, and I encourage, for those of you that are married, to really put these into practice and into play every day as much as you can. I know it can be hard because, again, every marriage goes through different seasons. There are seasons where you are extremely busy and exhausted. There's a lot going on. Maybe your family is growing. So therefore, those of you who are wives, you've got a lot going on in the home. You're tired by the end of the day. Husbands, maybe you're working 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-hour shifts at work and you're coming home exhausted. And when that happens, it's easy to kind of put these things to the side. And here's what I want to encourage, even though I know it can be hard. And if you are having a hard time trying to balance that out, please go to Elohim in prayer, okay? Especially together, if you can, go to him in prayer. But it's so important that we have that balance, okay? We can't allow the romance and the love and the caring for one another to be pushed to the side because life is hectic, okay? Life will be hectic. It's just balancing it out. And it's important that we're not neglecting our spouse, and our spouse should be priority right after Elohim, okay? Even over the kids, over your job, over friends, family members, even ministry, okay? Your spouse should be priority, okay? Very important to continue a strong marriage built on it should be built on the foundation of Yah's word and Him at the center. So with all of that being said, let's jump into this list of just acts of kindness and goodness that you can show towards your spouse. And take it and apply it as needed, and how it, again, some of it may not work for you and some of it may give you some great ideas. Tweak it, change it, whatever you want to do. So all right, let's get started. So the first one I think is really cute. So draw a heart on the steamy bathroom mirror while your spouse is taking a shower, so that when they come out, they see it. Okay, it's really, really sweet. Get up early and make breakfast for your spouse. Now, wives, I don't know about you. And again, every marriage is different, but with a godly marriage comes godly roles. And I wholeheartedly believe that part of the role of a godly wife, if your husband is working hard, I definitely think that you should be able to get up and make them breakfast. If they drink coffee, make them some coffee. I know that gets harder when your family grows and you start having babies and stuff like that. I know that can be hard, but try to do your best to do that. I know that your husband will appreciate it. And if they're even a morning person and they eat breakfast, some people skip breakfast. So again, take it how it resonates, whatever, applies best for you in your marriage. But definitely, if you can do that. And likewise, husbands, sometimes if your wife isn't feeling well, there's nothing wrong with maybe making her something to eat as well and bringing it to her. So it's a really kind gesture. Okay, tell your spouse something that you appreciate about them. And I've encouraged this early on in my podcast to do that daily if you can, okay? Call your spouse unexpectedly during the day. Just say, I love you. So husbands, if you're at work, you have a moment, send a text message or call just to say that, you love your wife and you appreciate them, okay? Give your spouse a massage. It could just be a massage because that they are hurting. They might have some pain going on. They're just tired. Their body's tired and worn out. You can do sensual massages. You can do scalp massages. Whatever your spouse is really needing at the moment, try to do that for them, okay? Watch your spouse's favorite show or sporting event with them, or whatever that they're into. I know sometimes it can be hard because even though you become one flesh when you marry, but you're still two different and separate individuals with your own interests and likes and dislikes and things like that. So, for example, say your husband is really an outdoorsy guy and really loves to go out and maybe they like to hike or bike or camp or fish or something like that. And maybe some of those things just really aren't for you, but make it a point to do it one time with your husband and make it a special time. And he will absolutely appreciate you putting in the effort to share that time with him, especially if he knows it's something you're not really into. And then likewise, husbands, do something with your wife that, may not really be for you, but it's a huge deal for your wife, okay? Maybe you're not really into dancing, but your wife loves to dance. Make it a point to maybe take some lessons with her, or even just at home, put a song on, dance together, things like that. Another one is, wives, arrange a guy's night out for your husband. Let him know it's okay. He can go spend time with the guys, no problem. He doesn't just have to work and come home, work and come home, work and come home. Let him know, hey, if you want to go spend some time with some friends, go ahead, or even if it's within the house, if he wants to spend time by himself, allow that, okay? I hear a lot, and this usually happens with people who have some trust issues that they haven't quite healed from yet, where they don't really want their spouses going out and doing things on their own. Unless your spouse has given you a reason not to trust them, your spouse should be able to get some time by themselves every now and then. Yes, you're one, but it doesn't mean you have to do every single thing together. Because remember, you're one, but you're still two separate individuals, okay? And so vice versa, husbands, if you can, allow your wife to go out, for a couple of hours, watch the kids, hold down the fort for a little bit while she's gone, and just allow your wife that time. Maybe she would like to go and catch coffee with some friends, or maybe go see a movie, or maybe go get her nails done as a special treat, maybe something she never does, just things like that. Allow your space to be, or your space, I'm sorry, allow your spouse to be, an individual for a day or for a night, and go just share time with friends, because friendships are important as well, as long as they're godly friendships. And, just be careful, as I've talked about before, just be careful when it comes to stuff like that. A really other cute thing too is, create a playlist of songs that both you and your spouse enjoy listening to, just to share some time to relax, or even if it was like songs maybe the two of you dedicated to one another when you're recording, or, whatever, just, things that mean a lot to the both of you, just kind of bring that back into play and share that time together. Another cute thing is, you can make a list of all the things that you love and appreciate about your spouse and leave it on their pillow or somewhere where they find it. But you can even do that with a text message as well. Always be sure to ask your spouse about how their day was. So husbands, when you get home from work, ask how your wife's day went. They're at home with the kids and stuff like that. Wives, ask your husbands how their day went at work. Another really sweet thing that I just absolutely love, and it's something that I do, is make lunch for your spouse. Instead of them having to go and purchase something, which is not really healthy for them anyways. I think, and I know you're saying that's a lot if I'm making breakfast for him and I've got kids and now I'm making him a lunch too. You can always put it together the night before. But I think it's really special, even if it's not an everyday thing. I think that you should definitely make an effort, so that, your husband has something good to eat, when he's at work. He shouldn't be buying fast food and junk food every single day. So wives, if you can, make it a point to, make a lunch for your husband so he can take it with him to work. Wives, another thing, I know, like, especially if you are at home, that's your job, you've got all that going on, but if there's something that your husband, maybe does on the weekends when he's not working, maybe help him with that, and husband, same, maybe help your wife with something that typically they would only do, right? Like maybe the laundry or something like that. Just find something that you can help your spouse with that typically only they would do, okay? Tell your spouse something you admire about them, read a book together, surprise your spouse with something maybe they've been wanting for a while, or wives, make your husband's absolute favorite meal for dinner or something like that. Always make sure you compliment your spouse as much as you can. Help if your spouses need like ideas for projects and stuff. They come to you and they talk to you about it. Definitely show, number one, that you're paying attention, okay? That they have your attention. Help them come up with some different ideas and things like that. And another thing too, if you are in a busy season of your marriage, is, and no, it's not silly. I know some people will think, oh, that's silly. Why would I do something like that? But you know what? It helps. Put reminders on your phone if you have to. Make a calendar so that every day you're making sure you're doing a random act of kindness towards your spouse, right? Or just being good towards your spouse, okay? If you'll forget, if it's something new for you or the both of you, or things are just really busy and chaotic at the moment, making a calendar or putting like a reminder on your phone every day, you can just do something as simple as, random act of kindness for hubby, or random act of kindness for wife, and put that reminder on your phone to where it goes off at the same time each day and it reminds you. There's nothing wrong with doing that, and I find it to be very helpful. So again, random act of kindness, some of the stuff I listed, again, You don't have to do it, especially if you know it's something you and your spouse really wouldn't benefit from, but it's to give you an idea of what random act of kindness means. And random act of kindness isn't just doing that for strangers or within your ministry or just with family members and such. It is good to do that in your marriage, and it's good to do it daily if you can. And again, I understand that there will be some seasons where that just doesn't happen, but don't let it get to the point where you're never doing that. Okay? Kindness and goodness is very important in your marriage. All of these fruits of the Spirit that I am talking about, that are listed in Scripture, all need to be applied in your marriage. So very, very important. So again, this was going to be a short episode. Wasn't much to say with this one. Not that it doesn't matter. It does, absolutely. It's just kindness and goodness kind of go without saying. These are things that as you get to know your spouse, the longer the two of you have been together, you learn the things that they like, the things that they would appreciate, things that put a smile on their face, things that cause them to fall even more in love with you because you're just like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that they just did this for me. Nobody's ever done that for me before, It's showing that you care about them. It's showing that you love them. Okay? And it also kind of goes hand in hand with compassion. And I've talked about that before as well in my episode, having grace and forgiveness for your spouse. But I have talked about compassion as well. And you can add that right along in there. Especially if you're someone that naturally has that kind of heart, don't allow stress or everyday challenges and just chaos and things like that rob you of that, because your spouse needs that from you. And it is another way that you are showing your spouse that you love them, that you care for them, and that you are thinking of them, and that you are priority in their lives, and vice versa. Okay? So very important to have kindness and goodness within your marriage. I just listed some ways that how that can look. Again, it may not work for everybody. To some, it may sound silly. To some, it's just not your thing, and that's fine. It's just to give you some ideas of some ways that you can show your spouse kindness and goodness towards them. So I hope that it's been encouraging for you. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk with you in my next episode.